The movie starts with a store owner stepping outside his shop to sit for a bit. He grabs his chair and sits in front of the store. Suddenly, he hears a strange noise, turns around, and loudly speaks toward the sound, letting whatever's there know he doesn't have anything on him. You're watching Cinedigest, and this is Movie Recapped. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more awesome stories. After a while, curiosity gets the better of him, so he walks toward the sound, where he sees something that completely shocks him. The creature charges at him and attacks, biting into his leg and the rest of his body. The man screams in pain as the beast rips him apart piece by piece. Polly gets out of the car and Seth starts complaining about the camping spot. Polly thanks him for doing this for her because she knows Seth isn't into camping. They take their stuff out of the car and start setting up the tent. At the same time, Dennis and Lacey's car gets wrecked. Lacey complains, saying this isn't how he told her the trip was supposed to be. Dennis tells her Mexico is close and they can make it. He suggests they leave since the car won't take them any farther. Seth and Polly are still trying to set up the tent, but it's obvious they can't get it right. Seth doesn't see the point of spending their anniversary night in a tent in a place full of bugs, so he suggests going to a motel instead. Polly is more adventurous, so she insists they stay and figure out how to put the tent up. Because of his promise to Polly, Seth gives the tent one last chance, but they end up ripping it. They don't have a spare tent, so the whole camping plan falls apart. They have no choice but to head to the motel. Dennis throws away everything they have, including the car, and they keep going without it. Seth and Polly put all their stuff back in their car, start it, and head toward the motel. Polly mocks Seth, saying he reads too much about things and doesn't actually live them in real life. On the way to the motel, they see a woman standing in the middle of the road. They stop immediately, and while they're arguing about whether they should help her or not, Dennis knocks on their car window and asks them to open the door. Nice and easy. All right? Get out of the car. While they're confused about whether these people are dangerous, Dennis pulls out a gun, forces the door open, drags Polly out by her hair, and throws her to the ground. Dennis orders Seth to turn off the car and get out while holding the gun to his head. Seth is frozen in shock, but when Dennis threatens to shoot Polly, Seth gets out quickly. Dennis tells Seth to clear out the back seat to make room for 2 more people. The situation turns into a hostage scenario. Lacey objects to Dennis's plan and reminds him that he said there would be no hostages. Dennis convinces her to trust him. Then he asks Seth to drive, but Seth says he can't drive a manual, so Polly gets in the driver's seat and starts driving. Dennis sits in the back with Seth, while Lacey sits in the front watching Polly. After they start driving, Dennis demands their phones and wallets. He throws the phones out the window so they can't call the police and takes all their cash. Lacey asks Seth if he's a doctor after seeing his ID and asks if he can prescribe her something, but Seth tells her he has a PhD in biology, not medicine. They keep driving with no real destination. Suddenly, Polly runs over something and they stop because the tire is blown. Lacey has frequent hallucinations because of the substances she uses, and she thinks they ran over her pet, Ginger. Dennis tells her to calm down because Ginger died a long time ago and isn't with them. Dennis orders Seth to get out and grab the spare tire, but Polly volunteers since it's her car and Seth doesn't know how to change a tire. Dennis hands Lacey a gun and tells her to shoot Seth if he moves. Lacey tells Seth to walk over to the dead thing and see what it is. When they get there, they see a dead, crushed animal. Lacey starts talking to the dead animal and orders Seth to help it. At the same time, Polly and Dennis are changing the tire, but Dennis gets a splinter stuck in his finger. He pulls it out and keeps working. The tire was destroyed by the splinters from the animal. Lacey threatens to shoot Seth if he doesn't go help the animal, thinking it's Ginger. Seth has no choice but to examine it. As soon as he touches it, it starts moving and tries to attack Seth. Lacey shoots at it and runs back to the car, telling Dennis they have to leave immediately without explaining anything. Later in the car, Lacey tells Dennis that Ginger tried to attack her, but Dennis doesn't believe her because of her hallucinations. The car's radiator breaks down, so they stop at a gas station to refuel and buy something from the convenience store. Lacey says she needs the bathroom and goes inside. Polly and Dennis go in to buy some stuff, while Seth stays outside pumping gas and cleaning the car. When they go inside, there's no one in the store. Dennis calls out several times, but no one answers. He looks at his finger and the wound starts spreading. At the same time, Lacey is trying to open the bathroom door, but it's stuck. When she finally gets it open, she sees a man lying on the floor with splinters all over his face and wounds covering his body. It's the store owner. He mouths the word, "Kill me," then transforms into a monster. Lacey runs out calling for Dennis. "Spikes! No, 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 baby, please!" She tells him she saw a man covered in spikes in the bathroom. Dennis doesn't believe her and thinks it's another hallucination. While they're arguing, the man jumps at them. Lacey trips and falls, and Dennis shoots at the man coming toward him. Seth runs into the store when he sees the man coming at him. Polly tries to call 911, but Dennis takes the phone and smashes it so he won't get reported, since he's a fugitive. Dennis hits Polly with the gun when she questions his control over the situation and threatens to shoot Seth when he tries to intervene. Dennis breaks down because of what's happening. He looks at the security cameras and sees that Lacey is still alive and moving, so he goes out to get her. Seth suggests they stay watching the monitor to make sure the man isn't moving while Dennis gets Lacey, and if the man comes toward them, they'll shut the door and keep it shut. Dennis takes the risk and goes outside, dragging Lacey's body toward the store. Polly suggests they lock him out no matter what. She locks the door and refuses to let him in. As Dennis threatens to shoot Polly, Lacey's body regenerates and she attacks Dennis. They open the door and pull Dennis inside, and Lacey's hand gets cut off by the door. Seth sees the hand moving on its own and gives his theory. It's an organism that feeds on any animal and mutates. Suddenly, there's banging on the door from Lacey, who's now a monster just like the man before. Seth and Polly tell Dennis to get away from the door. They try to open the store door to escape, but it's locked. They look for the key and can't find it, so they try to open it with a screwdriver. Dennis is on the floor, unresponsive after what he's seen. Seth and Polly open the door, but there's another lock from the inside. The banging stops, and the monster is on the roof. They listen carefully to the sounds, and when they turn around, they see a police officer standing at the door with her gun pointed at Dennis, telling them not to move. The officer is focused only on arresting Dennis and doesn't listen to their warnings. She refuses to get in her car and calls for backup when suddenly the monster attacks her behind with a splinter, tearing half her body apart and consuming her. After a while, her body starts regenerating. Dennis's wound spreads even more. Polly suggests they run to the car, but Dennis refuses because the monster is faster. He compares her to Lacey and they argue again. Seth stops them and tries to solve the problem with logic and science, but he has no real solution. Dennis comes up with the idea that the forest next to them is a national reserve, so they can set it on fire and wait for help. Polly agrees and they look for oil, spraying it all the way to the forest. Seth doesn't like the idea and suggests another one. Since the officer's walkie-talkie is right there, they can use it to call for help. Seth tapes coat hangers together to pull it closer, but just as he's about to grab it, the monster jumps, pulls it away, and shoves its hand through the window. Dennis's hand gets worse. The monster's hand comes inside and chases them. They run into the freezer room with Dennis. Seth and Polly realize his hand is infected. Dennis asks for a knife to cut it off, but he passes out. Seth takes charge and cuts his arm off using brutal methods. While sharing their last beer, Dennis explains why the police are after him. He shot a truck driver during a robbery, paralyzed him, and later learned he died, leaving his wife bankrupt. This was his last chance to make things right. Seth theorizes that the monster is attracted to heat, so he cools his body down with ice and tracks it using a thermometer. Once his body temperature drops, he weakly walks to the police car. Polly and Dennis use fireworks to distract the monster. Seth returns to the store, starts shooting, ignites the oil, and the whole place catches fire. He tells Polly they need to lure the monster into the flames. They shoot at it together, but Dennis insists on taking the gun and tells them to escape. Seth and Polly run while Dennis leads the monster and blows the place up.
After the explosion, they reach Dennis in an emotional moment. He gives them his bank key and asks them to give all his money to the truck driver's wife. Seth and Polly leave, and Dennis blows up the gas station by shooting the pump, dying an honorable death as Seth and Polly finally escape the nightmare. And that's the end of today's movie. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Cinedigest for more amazing stories with Movie Recapped.